Okay, everybody, once again, I want to welcome you to our program today. We're reaching you live and direct from Toronto, Canada. Today is a very special edition of our program. Why? Because in a few days, actually, in 2 days' time, is going to be Black History Month here in Canada. I think in some places it's not Black History Month, but let us know in the chat if it's not Black History Month where you are, but here in Canada we are celebrating Black History Month. And which other time is the best time to be talking about Africa than in the month of February, which is the Black History Month? So we have our guests. I will have our guests already seated, and they'll be joining us very soon. I'm gonna ask each one of them to unmute themselves. Everybody's waiting for you. We have one or two people still trying to join in, but the rest of us, let's turn on our cameras and get ready to face the whole world. They've been waiting for you guys. Um, Today we're going to be discussing something very interesting, something that a lot of you don't know about it. A lot of you are surprised, you're shocked, you're like, really? Has this been there? Yes, it's been there. And today you're going to learn a lot about the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. You're like, Chidi, from when to when? Yeah, from 2015 to 2024. It's supposed to like be happening now. So today you're gonna hear. Don't worry. Like me, we're wondering what has been happening all these years. But to help us understand what this is all about, I have a group of people. Um, they are people that I know very well. They do a lot of other things in their various fields of endeavor. They are professionals. They are philanthropists. They are all kinds of things, but they have come together to put a program that will be running for 3 days. This program will be helping you and I to understand what is this international decade for people of African descent. I'm going to bring them in very soon. I'm just working on one or two technical things, and they will join us. So I'm going to go and bring everybody in. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome the Canadian team of IDPAD. All right, this is the Canadian team. Guys, please say hello to our viewers.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Greetings, everyone.
All right,
Greetings.
okay. So everybody, this is the Canadian team of the International Decade for People of African Descent. Sarah, I'm gonna go over to you to do a brief introduction of who is here and what this whole thing is all about.
Thank you, Chitty, and thanks for having us. And thank you for everybody who is watching us from all the streams. Welcome. We still have a few members missing, but we are the Idpad as assured, IDPAD Canada. And again, as you mentioned, is the representation. We're also some part of the Black Community Consultative Committee under the Toronto Police Services that are going to be putting on with the collective group a series of virtual seminars starting this Monday, February 1st. And if you need any of the information, please make sure that obviously, Chidi, you're going to be sharing it with the team. You can contact us at itpatcanada, one word, at gmail.com. We are here to make sure that all this information and knowledge is shared. There's a lot of people that don't know about the decade. Again, it started from the United Nations. It's a mandate, it's a 10-year. We are actually on our 7th year. This is our 7th year, and we have 3 years left. You're going to hear it from all of us in regards what's going to take place. And if you join in our virtual seminars, So the first seminar is going to be about the recognition, which is what we're doing also today, is the recognizing the decade, and followed by the justice, which is the following week. And then we're going to do the development. We have a huge partners team. You can check us on an Instagram, Twitter account. You can follow us, everyone. And today we have our extinguished guests, the ones who started from our end, and where I learned about the decade about 3 years ago from Jacqueline Noel. Both are Toronto Black farmers. We have Liana representing By Liana. We have Freddie King representing AIA Entertainment, and also Angela Thomas, who's going to join us, Jason, Edel, and all of those. So that we have a huge team. And today is more than anything, Chidi, is to inform the community, is to inform the African descendant, and also to inform the international community that we in Canada are here to make sure that the information is shared not only in Canada but all around the world about the decade. And this is the decade for all the African descendant. And guess what? We are 200 million African descendant who live outside of the continent of Africa. If you didn't know, that's just a quick info about it. And I
Awesome.
will let others to introduce. Go ahead.
Awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm going to ask, I'm going to do this, okay? So when people hear people of African descent and they see this gathering, I'm sure they are wondering, are these people really of African descent? So I'm going to do a little tracing. I want us, one after the other, to go ahead and tell me what is their connection to Africa. I'm going to start from folks from the Toronto Farmers um, uh, Association, right? Jacqueline, go ahead.
So, thank you to the organizers of this online platform today, Chidi, Sarah, and the team. Um, my connection to Africa, from what I learned from my 85-year-old mother, who's still alive, by the way, that our connection is directly in Nigeria. And so, because we were spread far and wide, um, before all the atrocity and the Mahafas, we still have traceability because Africa is the core of civilization for the world. We are Afro peoples. We are everywhere on planet Earth, and our connection is directly from the root, which is Africa. So I can fairly say I can trace some of my lineage to Nigeria, which is again one of a very large state of Afro indigenous peoples in Africa.
So what?
And I
Sorry,
feel
sorry.
that
Jackie, what I wanted to do is so tell us where you are tracing your ancestry from. You're tracing it from where now?
so I'm in Toronto. I'm originally from Jamaica, and in Jamaica, in the most western tip of the island, there is a parish called Westmoreland Parish. One of the parishes in Jamaica, we have a very large African population, and one of that community in Westmoreland is a place called Abiakuta. And I was doing some work a number of years ago in the community around immigration, citizenship and immigration, and I met a brother who was a refugee from Sierra Leone, and his he relocated to Nigeria, and he told me the place where his wife was from, and his wife is from a place in Nigeria called Abiakuta. And when he said it to me, all my lights went off. I said, "Whoa, okay, I have family from there. Give me a little bit more history." And then he started telling me about Abiyakuta and his journey to Abiyakuta and how he ended up there. So I came home and I spoke to my mother, who's still alive, thank God. And she said yes. Our her her grandmother, which is my great grandmother, who transitioned at 107. um, her mother and father came to Nigeria, came from Nigeria to Jamaica as free people, had their children there and their family there, and settled in a place called Gold Summit in Westmoreland. So that is my ties to the continent of Africa. And I've not traveled there yet, but when I travel, I'm going to take some time and learn about the continent and my peoples and my tradition, histories, and cultures.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Okay, I'm gonna ask my brother to go ahead, but I'm guessing it's almost the same thing.
Well, similar. My name is Noel. Yeah. Um, so my great grandmother, she's from Nigeria, and she was one of the first free slaves, what they call them, in Jamaica at the time. And I'm from originally from St. Mary, a farming community, military community, you name it. Um, the traditions and customs of that area still exist today in terms of their ancestry from Africa. And so I'm very proud today to be one of the people who can learn and at the same time brings a certain amount of awareness to the decade and and how powerful a people we are. So it's a great thing for us to be here today to just talk with each other and to share our experiences and the information that needs to be out there to the wider community and the world.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much. I always knew it. I always knew it. When you guys cooked, when you farmed, I knew it. You see what I'm saying? We were always Nigeria. I knew it.
Yeah.
But let's go on. I'm gonna ask my brother Freddie King to go ahead and speak. And Freddie, tell us your connection to Africa. Freddie, go on.
Yeah, um, my connection to Africa. Both my parents are native Ghanaian, Awe tribe. I am Canadian born, born in Toronto, Ontario. You probably hear my son screaming in the background, but
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody's at home. It's no
yeah,
problem. We're good. We're good with that.
yeah. So that's my connection. I've been to Accra, been to Togo, um, been to different parts of Ghana. Got to see the waterfall. It was beautiful. Went to the slave dungeon where you hear the true history of what really took place, not this Europeanized lens that they crafted to make us look like we were always savages and that they saved
Yeah.
us by bringing us here. So yeah, that's my connection to the continent.
Yeah, I knew it. Every time I see you, it's always one black star, black star. I'm like, come on, this guy. What's this thing about black star? Now I know. So thank you. um, um, I'm gonna ask Leanna to go ahead and speak.
Hello. Yeah, so I study my African descent by my father and my grandmother immigrating here from Jamaica. And that's my connection because while I was being raised, my father always told me everyone's coming from Africa. Everyone comes from Africa. When you trace us back, we all come from Africa. So I have to follow it.
Yes, you did. You did well by following it. You're not wrong at all. I can assure you. Okay. Who else is here that has not spoken? Please go ahead. Yes. Okay, Angela, you are here. I was wondering.
Good morning, everybody. No, actually, Jay is still at your door waiting to get in. He's been waiting actually just as long as I was. So,
Oh, sorry. I have everybody in now. Okay, please ask him to go ahead and because I was focusing on the program, so I.
we figured out as much. That's why we were
Yeah, yeah,
waiting.
yeah. Okay, but you're in now. Go ahead, Angela.
Um, I'm sorry I missed your introductory. So basically, what
No, now we're doing a DNA test. We want to see if you're connected to
we're doing a
Africa.
DNA test?
Yes,
Well,
so
I did a
go ahead and tell me your connection to Africa.
I did my genealogy test,
No,
and
that's not what I mean. Forget about that. I just want you to tell us your
yeah.
connection to Africa.
My connection is twofold on two continents: South Asia, India, and East Africa. With a little bit of West Africa in there also. But my interest in Africa has always been knowing where I come from, where we all come from, and being able to pass on that education to the young generation of today. So I've been teaching Black Studies and African Heritage, and I had the fortunate opportunity several years ago to visit four countries in East Africa and follow the slave trade routes. One of the first slave trade routes of the eastern parts and the Arab slave trade and stuff like that.
So tell us, Angela, where you obviously, I mean, you're Canadian, but help us trace where you're originally from and how is that connected to Africa.
Well, originally, my great great grandfather, one of them, as I said, came from India after slavery was abolished. They bought what they call the coolies or cheap laborers to most of where the old plantations was in the Western Hemisphere, which included the Caribbean islands, southern United States, and South America.
Awesome. Okay. Back to you, Sarah. Go ahead and tell us what this program that is being organized
Yeah.
is all about. Sarah, please speak so you can come on.
Yep. I hope you guys can hear me. And I think Jason, it's a great idea for Jason to be asked where he's traced, but
Oh,
my trace,
sorry, it's Jason.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting,
Jason,
I'm
yeah.
getting so
Got
mixed up
it.
here, guys. Just forgive me. Okay, Jason, is your camera on? I don't
Can you
see.
hear me?
Jay, can you? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jay. Please turn on your camera and
Can
speak.
you see me? Can everybody see me?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Yes.
Right,
Oh
everybody.
yeah, how could we miss that?
Yes,
Grand
Kingman.
Rising, Grand Rising.
Okay, go ahead. Prove to us that you're African.
Proof?
Just tell us your connection to Africa.
Uh, okay, so my parents are Jamaican, Cuban, and Indian. And our forefathers, their parents are Ghanaians, right? From Ghana. Well, I would even want to say Africa. I want to say Utopia or Ethiopia, the original name, not from saying Africanus, right? So the Ethiopia. So my bloodline is you see I got mixed, right? But my bloodline is Ethiopian. My connection with Africa is in terms of that is going straight from Africa, Ethiopia, and straight the connection to Egypt. So the beginning of the time. So my bloodline's coming from the ancient Hebrews.
Thank you so
So
much. Thank you so much.
yeah.
And
Yes, my
now,
brother.
for the interest of our viewers, why we're doing this is because this is this from 2015 to 2024. There's a reason why United Nations has decided that this 10 years should be devoted to focusing on people of African descent because a lot of us don't get it. A lot of us like to just say, okay, you know what, I'm black Canadian, I'm black American, I'm black this, I'm black this, and then sometimes you see people saying me and these Africans, and that's been something that it used to pain me so much. So it is interesting that you see how variegated we are here, that we have people from different parts of the world right now, but we all still trace our roots back to Africa. So that makes all of us Africans. Now, like I told you guys before, there's a program that's being organized here in Toronto, and we're gonna go straight into talking about this program. So I'm gonna go back again to Sarah to Sarah, you can go ahead and speak now,
Yep.
so you can come on the
Yep.
screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so go ahead and tell us about this planned event in Toronto, Canada. Tell us who is planning this event, how it's supposed to run, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So thank you again, Chidi. So just to let you know, I'm also a descendant. Well, not descendant. I
Well, okay. Yeah. Okay, Sarah, you don't want to
represent.
feel left out. Okay,
Yeah,
tell
of course.
us.
I'm from
Tell
Asia. I'm
us.
Canadian, but I'm obviously representing Somalia also, and I can trace to all my 15 great grandfather. As you know, in Somalia, everybody knows where they come from for the lineup. So we still have that root from East Africa representing the Kushtik and so on. With that said, the main people who are organizing, who are connected to with the United Nations, is actually the collective group, which are over 40 philanthropists that came together, have been doing research for the last 3 to 4 years, and they have partnered up with BCC, which you, Chidi, are also a member, and many of us are here at this day today, which is the Black Community Consultative Committee, and that's a table within the Toronto Police Services. So we will be hosting, and also we have other partners as mentioned. The key things again is the education component, recognizing the decade. As you said, if we even ask your audience and so on, many don't know the decade. We want to also make sure that in our brothers and sisters in the continent of Africa to understand what's taking place outside of the continent. It's not easy, it's not pretty. We still have discrimination, we have institutional racism, and we can go on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bit of detail about what has happened and why Canada, the country that you can imagine, actually, a lot of our Africans, brothers and sisters from the continent, including the Caribbean continent and Caribbean countries, always tend to come thinking Canada is, the blessed country. Yes, we are, but there's a lot of issue that goes on. So I want to give it to Jackie if she can a little bit tell how the United Nations came to Canada and why they've given certain mandate. Go ahead, Jackie.
Oh my goodness. So, Toronto has always been a hotbed of activism. And I came to Canada in 1978. And when I came here, I met some of those activists who are now ancestors. And we have been fighting against anti-Black racism and social inequality and injustice for a long time, way before I came. So fast forward to 2014, Secretary Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon with the United Nations, declared this decade from 2015 to 2024 for people of African descent. And Canada was late. I don't know if it was purpose or it wasn't of great importance. They didn't join in or signed on until 2018. Since that time, there have been a flurry of activities. We, the Toronto Black Farmers Collective, we did 3 events. We did an Afro-Indigenous Food Security Festivals. We are farmers here in Toronto. We did an Afro-Indigenous Food Security Festival in September of 2018. And then we followed that with a harvest ITIL dinner to free dinner to the community and a discussion with community leaders like Sarah and other members in our community around the issue of systemic anti-Black racism, the oppression, the marginalization, and the suffering of our people. And following that, we commemorated the International Decade for People of African Descent, February of 2019. And we had that event at 1652 Keele Street. And that event was to bring the Confronting Anti-Black Racism unit out of the city of Toronto to come and speak with the community and to hear the concerns and to further dialogue about this decade, its importance, its value, and why we should 100% stand behind it. And now demand equity, justice, and human rights for all people of African descent in Canada and globally. It's been a very interesting ride, to say the least. It's also been a very tiresome, um, hard process because we are very, very scattered, even though we're in Canada and we are not all on the same page. But some people have been doing a lot of work federally across the country, and we are unifying one link at a time. So I want to leave it at that. I want folks to know out there that we are not sitting here waiting on anybody to save us. We are saving ourselves. This is an SOS to our peoples, whether we are local or we are global. We are the indigenous people of creation, and that we must now stand and take our place in the world, rebuild our nation, and rebuild community, our system of justice. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to let also, if Freddie King can also speak, since he will be presented for the justice component when it comes to African descendant individual outside of the continent of Africa. Go ahead, Freddie.
Yeah. I think with the justice system, better yet, I should say, I know with the justice system, the fact that you are convicted and you give me 1 second. Hold on.
Um, and
Yeah.
can I say if you're not on, if you
Mm-hmm.
could mute yourself because we're using the speaker uh, uh,
Mm.
option, so it always puts the person speaking on the screen.
Yeah, sorry about that. What
No
I wanted to
problem, no
say was
problem.
basically,
Go ahead, Freddie.
yeah,
If you're ready, we're gonna give you time to get ready, and we'll switch back to you. But just to let everyone know, this event that Sarah spoke about will be happening um, on the 1st of February. We're kicking off the Black History Month with this event. It's one of the first events that will be happening in the city. And I just put up the flyer so you guys know if you are any part of the world, because I see a lot of you. And let me just do this quick shout out to the people in the chat room. um, Eric Augustine, it's a good day from Austria. Ike John from Biafra. Where are you? Jenny B from Germany. Ola Eche from Spain. All of you, Lolo Law from France. Every one of you, I expect you to join in because we're just a global village. I want you guys to join in on Monday when this event kicks off. And now, Freddie, I'm gonna come back to you if you're ready now to continue with your speech.
yeah. Basically, what I was saying was with the justice system, it's a the way they organized it was basically to target young black folks. You take the fathers away from the mothers. You know what I mean? And you have these young boys being raised to become men without a father figure. Then once they get into the prison system, they realize that, oh my God, this is what the garbage that people have been feeding me of what a real black person's supposed to be. And by the time they get out of being incarceration, now they're screwed because they have a criminal record that follows them and burdens them from being employed. Because now, when they go for these jobs that are supposed to have affirmative action on that resume, or not on the resume, on the application, there's a checkbox that says, have you ever been convicted? And with that deteriorates people from hiring you. That's a new form of a racial barrier, because a lot of black people in my neighborhood, they had been in trouble with the law. Like, so where's the second chance opportunity? It doesn't make sense that you're in the penalty box, you served your time, you're supposed to be corrected. That's why they're allowing you to get out. And yet you can't even change the life because they're forcing you to go back to the same neighborhood, they're limiting you on where you can travel and who you have to check in with when you travel. And to me, that's wrong. 5 to 10 years for a pardon is ludicrous. Because if I already served 2 years and I showed good behavior, why do I have to wait another 5 to 10 years if I don't get probation, which could be another 12 years? Then that's ridiculous. If a child commits a crime at 19 and he's 30 years old and he's still waiting for a pardon, I think the system is super flawed. And I think everybody knows that, but no one's saying it. Everybody's too emotionally caught up in, let's change Dundas Street, the name of Dundas Street. I do not care about the name Dundas Street. What I do care about, like every young Black person, is the criminal justice system. If Bell wants to say, oh yeah, we're going to do a Bell Let's Talk. Okay, Bell, let's talk about how you charge our Black people to call our Black parents from the prison system, collect calls. Let's talk about that. Let's really get down to the core of this anti-Black racism. Bell could talk all the nonsense they want, but when you go through the system, the burdens. They even took away the opportunity to make three-way calls, because once you call your parents collect, normally your parents will be the one to contact your lawyer's cell phone, right? But they took that away, so anytime your parent clicks over, the phone automatically hangs up. And when that hangs up and you try to redial your parents, then a fight could break out in jail because it looks like you're double dialing and somebody was waiting for the phone after you. So these are the things that, the decade should take into consideration and to bring forth to Trudeau, because all these laws that he's making makes no sense. During this, if you're telling me you could have 91 commercials every day on different channels about COVID-19, but you can't have one commercial about the decade, then you're racist. Like, point blank period, you're racist. You can send out basically cell phone Amber Alerts about COVID, stay at home, but not one message was sent out about the decade of African descent and how to go about getting funded. To me, it's a disgrace, especially to have a leader that did blackface and say he did it several times, and this is who we're calling our leader. No, he should have been impeached.
All right.
If you want to talk about...
sorry, yeah, because there's so many of us here, and thank you, Freddie, for talking about the justice system. And it is a huge thing to talk about the justice system, and we'll come back to that also. One thing that you said that struck my attention is you talked about publicity. You can do all the advert and all the publicity, and you're not talking about the year of the African descent, and you were worried about that. So I'm gonna cue you on that, and I'm gonna put up an ad about this African descent. This is just to recognize the people that Sarah talked about who have contributed to this event. So Freddie, you reminded me of this, so let me just do it right now. So folks, these are the people who are partnering with the Idpad Canada team to bring this event to you.
A special thank you to our amazing partners. United Nations, Collective Group, Community Innovative Alliances, WMTV, our media partner, Toronto Centre of Learning and Development, Toronto Black Farmers, By Leanna, MACE, Mentoring Through Artistic Cultural Education, Mothers of Peace, Regent Park, AIA Entertainment. Keep 6. Queens Leveling Up. KD. Possibility Thinkers. Sia Inc. My Roots Foundation. Be Tenacious 365. Beacon Creative Inc. And Impact. We thank you.
All right, guys, so those are the partners who are partnering with the BCCC, the Black Community Consultative Committee, to bring you this International Decade of People of African Descent that is being held in Toronto in the Black History Month. I'm going to bring back Sarah again to continue. This time around, a lot of our people just want to hear it as blunt as it can get. Is there are there things that people are suffering in Canada, or is it just all rosy? Is it the place where people can just come? Freddie has led us into the justice system as someone who has been who has seen it from the other side, and I'm sure it was shocking to a lot of people hearing him talk about it. So let's hear of other things that are going on in Canada that is of concern to us as people of African descent. Yeah. Okay. So Sarah, go ahead. And
thank you, and thanks again for Freddie. And just to let you know, to watch a full explanation of the justice system with Freddie, February 8th is our justice theme month. So please make sure that you join in. And if you want to hear more about Jackie and Noel, they will be the first coming in for the recognition, which is this Monday, February 1st. Now, we are very, as you know, Chidi, very authentic and raw and honest. And we want to make sure that the international community knows what's going on. As Freddie mentioned, all of us in here in the panel have faced some sort of systematic discrimination. Is different than individual racism. Individual racism is what you usually see in the media, which tends to be about the name, the N-words, and so on. Systematic racism, it fits into the whole development of a family. So that includes the housing, employment, being discriminated in the educational system. All of those involved, that's the institutional racism. So unless we change policies and legislation, it will never stop. And unless we demand, and what I mean by we as a community, as African descendant, start making action, there's no hero, Chidi, out there. Nobody's here to save you. We are on our own as a community, but in order for us to come together collectively, collaborate, as Jacqueline mentioned, there's a lot of people doing the African descent, but they're working in silos. They tend to work individual. This is the time as Idpad team, we're calling everybody who's talking about the decade, who was talking about the institutionalized racism, to join the Idpad team. It's open, it's available, and we're taking the actionable component. Now in Canada for us, there is a lot. One of the 4 mandates, and I want to give it to Jackie to tell us, what was the United Nations component they said about Canada that has failed. One of them actually Freddie mentioned, which is we have the highest when it comes to African descendant in the correctional system. That means in the jail system. Canada does have the highest, but Jackie's going to tell us also the other 2 and 3 that Canada has failed when it comes to the African descendant.
So, a part of the history here and the practice is to put African people on lands that are not functional. They're either toxic dump sites that have created a lot of upheavals with our health and well-being. And one of the recommendations from the United Nations on top of the declaration is for Canada to provide access to arable, fertile land so we can develop. And developing is a huge piece because, you know, having access to good housing, healthy housing, having access to land to learn again how to grow your food, and having land for recreation and economics is very important and vital. The other piece is this National Institute for People of African Descent. I spoke with Brother Kwame Williams from Barrie this morning. They own the Adinkra Farms in Barrie, and he is the project coordinator of has been tasked to develop a survey system. They've done that. He's also completed a report, a 250-page report with his team about our conditions here and what systemic anti-Black racism have caused the Afro community here in Canada, and why now it is vitally and truly important that we come together, remove the barriers, and stop fighting each other and do what is right for us with one voice, one aim, and one destiny, as Marcus Garvey says. And the other piece, the other point is the criminal justice system, and Freddie spoke elaborately on that because he has experienced that directly. And so we cannot make change if we work in silos, as Sarah says. We have to come together. We have to create a different reality for our children and youth and our people that have been traumatized, that have died from the wicked hands of systemic anti Black racism, and create a new reality because we are not going anywhere without us. Afro peoples, there will be no other peoples. We are salt of the earth. So please remember that when you sit in a corner and decide that you are going to make a Black person's life miserable. Please don't do that because it's coming back to you in full karma. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that, Jackie. And I want to even bring it up if Angela is it to talk about for the international community, what is in regards to the housing component. And Shiri, just to let you know, majority of us Afro descendants in Canada do live in affordable or subsidized housing, which is housing owned by the government of Canada. And again, this is including systematic. If you can't afford, if you don't have livable wages and employment, proper employment in high position, then you tend to live in those affordable housing. So there's a huge component of Afro-descendant living in affordable housing, unable to live in proper area. They live, majority of them, in something called improvement neighborhood. And these are neighborhood that, as Jackie mentioned, not up to par compared to other part of Canada. Predominantly, majority of us, if you exclude from Quebec, live in the province called Ontario, and GTA, which is Greater Toronto Area, that are the predominantly Afro descendants. A majority of us. Yes, we do live in other parts of Canada, but majority of us are located here. The reality is what we want to let know the international community and our brothers and sisters in Africa and other part of the world is you need to, first of all, not only join in forces together in regards to decade. We have only 3 years left. It's only 3 years left. We need to join forces, share information, data component, and showcase that we are here to make a better place, not only for us as Afro-descendant, but also for the larger communities and our allies. So for this decade in training is to just start that dialogue, that conversation. So Angela, if you can in a short format describe the housing dilemma when it comes to the Afro-descendant in Canada?
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty with my camera, but the bottom line is that I'm just for a piece of correction. A lot of us who do live in housing, please remember that the institutionalized racism is also being practiced there based on the fact that a lot of us do pay market rent. A lot of people feel that when we do live in subsidized housing, that a lot of us are getting next to no rent payment and stuff like that. That's not accurate. A lot of us do pay, and you pay according to your income. So there's some of us living in rundown properties that have not properly been fixed and maintained. And a lot of us have to deal with that. And it's almost like if you're begging for housing, it's almost like if you don't deserve to be in proper housing. I lived in private, I lived in a home with mortgage and stuff before. It's a situation that there's a lot of misconception that once you are in subsidized housing, you're in a ghetto. It's a ghetto. You're treated like a ghetto. No, that's not the truth. There's a lot of people working very hard, trying to maintain their family structure, trying to maintain their norms and value system, so that they could bring very good young people for the next generation to come, and that are responsible and things like that. We have lived in very deplorable conditions for some of these facilities. The maintenance is not done properly. A lot of things are behind, but yet there's so much money being downloaded from the federal to the provincial to the cities to maintain these properties. Now they're trying to when they do maintain some of the properties, the people cannot get back into it because they said the barrier is so high that all the regular everyday people cannot afford. So you want us to pay a certain amount of rent for rundown facilities that have been built probably 40 plus years, but at the same time, you don't change the system to adjust accordingly. So as the real estate market goes up, you want to charge the same real estate market value for rental or for income to people, and that can't work. We all deserve equal opportunity and equal situation, or else you're going to create the same system. And one of the things a lot of people are not aware of, it's another form of apartheid in Canada. They did try it in Canada first. It succeeded in South Africa, but they're still trying to do it here in a lot of different ways. And let's address the white elephant in the room. A spade is a spade. That is what they're still trying to do in a different way.
Thank you. And I just want to welcome also when it comes, so we talked about the housing, also when it comes to the family structure unit. So another thing for the international community to let them know that in order to get a lot of supports, you cannot be in a family dynamic. So the fathers and mothers cannot be in a kind of marriage situation. You will not get affordable housing or the Ontario Works if both families are there. It's a kind of structure in place to divide the families, and this has affected tremendously for decades when it comes to the Afro-descendant community and members. I want to bring out to Liana to talk about when it comes to employment and the youth, because youth are our future, and what we're doing this decade is to pass the baton to the next generation. But what are they facing as Afro-descendant when it comes to the youth and when it comes to the educational system? Again, it starts from the school system. When it comes to Canada, the institutional racism starts from the kindergarten level and it continues on to the post-secondary. And Liana's going to talk about the youth component and the employment. Go ahead, Liana.
Hello. Well, sadly, it does start in the school system because I've witnessed a lot of things happen in the school system myself. I've witnessed teachers, principals tell students they're not going to amount to anything, and they are of African descent as well. I've witnessed them not stand up. The people that parents trust their children to while in school, that are supposed to protect them, I've witnessed those people not protect the children, me being one of them. So when we talk about the justice system and employment and where it all begins, we have to think about who's actually telling these kids what they can amount to do or not. And they're all telling them they can't amount to anything. That's actually what's happening. They can't amount to anything. But when they fight past that, fight past those barriers, these are the same kids, the same youth that are striving for greatness, that are working back in their communities, that are giving back. As soon as they fight past the system and learn for themselves, they have to relearn the system, then they can actually go to where they want to be. But there are a lot of barriers when it comes to schooling, forcing them into applied classes. Youth of African descent usually get told to take the less academic classes, not the ones that will set you up for university, but the ones that will set you up for a trade. That's what we get told. I've been told many times, don't take an academic class, take the easier one. So when they set you up like that, and then when you want to go to university and want to study something, you're just told you can't even study it because you don't have the marks, you didn't take the prerequisites for it. That all leads to employment.
Thank you for that. And Leanna works with many youth, and that's by Leanna to do videos and also documentary for the international community to see really what's happening in Canada, raw Canada, uncensored Canada, because that's what we're here for today, to disclose to the international community. The other thing is, I know Jason is trying to connect to talk about the mental health component when it comes to our Afro community members in Canada. Mental health is a huge issue that's taking place right now due to obviously COVID-19 situation and other areas. So again, for the decade, we're gonna address those aspect of it, but at the same time, also there's the food insecurity. A lot of people watching us from Africa and other part of the country, you may think that Canada doesn't have any, not only poverty, but any hunger, but we do. There's a lot of children from all walks of life, including the indigenous community, but also indigenous Africans that are going hungry, that go to bed hungry. And for that reason, with the collective Toronto Black Farmers, are actually doing a daily food hamper, so monthly food hamper to reach the hard to reach Afro-descendant and other community, not only African descendant, but other communities with food hamper. And they're doing this all with private donations. They haven't received a lot of from the government component, maybe chump change as I call it, and it's in a dire situation. Their phone gets ringed out for people that are saying we're hungry. Yes, that's what's happening right now in Canada. And this is Canada that you're hearing. So I want to bring Jason to tell us a little bit about the mental health component when it comes to African descendant, and he witnessed it far and wide. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, how are you doing, everybody? Good morning. So can everybody hear me, or?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So there's in our community, there's been a lot of mental health that has been unseen, and I work in the hospital industry, and I used to work in a mental health department too, and a lot of the young men that are coming in and the young women that are coming in that is from the Black descent are being they're actually being coming in as a patient, as a sick patient, coming in is deemed as mental health, is because of a lot of the stresses at home, can't get a job, touching like what Freddie was saying, they were in the system. I have a quick little story of, there was one gentleman that he was always being arrested by Toronto police, and he's from the West Side area, and he went into anxiety state, and he had to be admitted to the mental health ward because of the police constantly approaching him. And it got to him to the point that it was thought in his mind, he always thought that it was something that he was did based on past experience of being arrested when he was a younger man. And so he ended up in the mental asylum. He ended up there. They were giving him medication to rehabilitate himself, but it wasn't working. The main thing is a lot of with us in terms of depression and mental health as Black. The problem is that there's no support system for us. They say there is, but there's no support system. It's because a lot of things that happen is we tend to be deemed to be the people that are the toughest, the strongest, and we are, but there's no organizations that will come in and actually sit with our young people, are in a range of connecting to do anything to find out what's going on, or even speaking on levels to them about the education, about mental health, about depression, about anything. So we get flowing under the bus or under the water, nothing happens, and then you have a lot of anger. You got a lot of young people with a lot of anger built up, and that's coming from home, that's coming from society, and then they end up in jail, B, they end up committing suicide, and then there's been a lot of suicides that have been happening among Black that has not been spoke about on the media or anything, but I work in the organization, so I could see that because of a lack of, there's nowhere to go. And now we have what's going on in the city, and there's a lockdown. So a lot of them are now taking their lives because they don't know what else to do, nothing else to do. So it's like a new trend. It's like, I can't go on the road, I can't do this, I can't do that. So what's the purpose of me doing anything? A lack of education, there's no school, so everything's broken. So in terms of the mental health aspect of what I'm trying to say is I don't want to make it seem like I'm rambling on. Like, a lot of it is based on our whole setup of coming from the government, everything from what the government's doing, from what the masses are doing, and a lot of it is attacking us as Black people, and a lot of it too is a lot of health, and a lot of us need our vitamin D, and we have to always remember we have melanin, and a lot of the young people, the parents never introduce vitamin D to their children, and a lot of that, it goes back to health with the mind, with the brain. And if the mind is not put into a certain stimulus of our, based on our complexion with melanin as African, as Caribbean descent, and that's something I did our research on, and our project was based on that. Maybe 2 years ago, there was a young lady, she brought her son up from Jamaica. He was good in Jamaica, he was a straight A student, and when he came to Toronto and he experienced the lack of sun and the cold, he started to go into a deep depression. And from deep depression, she brought him to the doctor. The doctor said he was suffering from depression. And from that, they said he was suffering from mental health. From that, they put him, from that, they made him stay into lockup because he was doing things that was out of his character. So when I saw her and we spoke about this, and she told me he's always living in Jamaica, he's okay, but every time she brought him here, this was the second time she brought him here, I said, maybe he's lacking vitamin D. And she's like, what? I go, vitamin D is because he's in the sun, he's in the Caribbean, he's coming here. I said, have you gave him any of vitamin D vitamins when he come up? She goes, no. So I said, try it. So she tried it, and for 3 months he was taking vitamin D, and he was good. He was really good. And she was like, wow, why didn't the doctors tell me this? Why didn't? Because they're not. They're just going to do what they need to do to make that systematic. This is what it is. Deem this young Black man as a mental health patient. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jason. And I just want to give also back just a little bit. Thank you for that. For the mental health, it's huge. It's taboo. We have, as Afro descendant or melanated, a huge trauma that we haven't even healed from it. There's the toxicity. There's a decade of systematic institutional racism, as mentioned. I just want to bring, if you can tell me a little bit of what is Government of Canada doing, if Jackie, if you can let us know, or not doing We want to make sure that we're getting a lot of international family brothers and sisters watching us from everywhere. But what is it not doing? What's happening? We have to be raw. We have to be honest tonight and transparent. Go ahead.
Okay, just before
So
you go on, Jackie, just yeah, I'm gonna have you on very soon, Jackie. But just let everybody know, we're already even getting into. It's like we're having the the event already, and that is very very exciting. But what I want everyone to know, I just posted the link to the event on our YouTube chat room, just so everybody can connect through that link. There is so much that we cannot exhaust it on this program. We're already overshot by 9 minutes, but there's so much to talk that we can go on and on and on and on. But that's just to tell people how exciting it's going to be when we talk about these things. We are the only ones who are able to say it the way it is without trying to sugarcoat anything or be politically correct. So just to let everyone know, we won't talk about this here for long because this was just supposed to be a little
Yeah.
snippet of what's going to happen on that day. So Jackie, go ahead and finish up. But we have a lot of time on Monday to talk about these things. But go ahead, Jackie.
so I just want to quickly follow up with what Jay just said about mental health and systemic anti-black racism and its debilitating effects on us. Add to that mix are illicit and illegal dirty guns that have been thrust in our communities wherever we are. Here in Canada, particularly in Toronto, we have no access to stable employment. We are always underemployed, and we are always on the move. Keep it moving. We cannot congregate together to talk about our issues or our concerns. Um, and we constantly are reminded that we are no good. And everybody who walks through the door of Canada comes in here and treats us this way because it is coming from the top. So if the top of the stream is dirty, then obviously the bottom is going to be even murkier. Now, as it pertains to what we need, I believe and I know because it's worked before, but it was one of the first, what you call it, terrorist attack on a set of people. We need to separate because in order for us to take back our sanity, take back our nation, rebuild, and be well again, we need to separate and do what we have to do for ourselves as a people. We don't need the permission of the federal government, the provincial government, nor the municipal government to do that. We need to separate. We need to focus on community building. We need to focus on nutrition. We need to focus on health. We need to focus on economics. These are pillars. These are real pillars. Education. And we need to also demand our reparations because everybody else in the world at large who claim that that there was an atrocity committed against them have gotten reparations, except for Afro peoples. So we need our reparations to do what we need to do because every time we we get into the mode of self-determination, of resilience, right? You insert yourself in our midst and you create havoc and you divide and scatter everybody. So we need to separate from you. And I hold no apology in telling the world that because I've lived here since 1978. And since I came to Canada, I've seen all of this amplified a million times. And it keeps happening and it keeps happening and it's being drowned out because we are not deemed to be human or important in the larger scheme of this shit system. We must now take the reins in our hands and not try to be a part of this system that has been murdering us, annihilating us, hurting us in every way, shape, and form to say that it is going to save us. This is an SOS. We have to save ourselves. We have to preserve our seeds. Our men are endangered. Our boys are endangered. Our girls are endangered. Our elders are endangered because the knowledge is not being passed down to us. And so we always have to be starting over from scratch. We need to change that. And we have the power to do that. So I am saying to all my peoples and people who say they are allies that we need to take this time away and we need to start to plan and put things in motion, but we need the access to each other unconditionally. We don't need you to intervene and send people in our midst to come and ruin what we are doing. We need you to leave us alone so that we are doing what we need to do. We also need the reparations that African people, whether we are on the continent of Africa or we are in the diaspora, we need this money that built your system, and you've refused to acknowledge that, and you've refused to pay the descendants, which are us. We need that money to do what we are supposed to do, because when we develop our systems of peace, health, well-being, and liberation, we won't resort to the violence and the drama and the mahafa that you've created for us. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the mahafa of African peoples globally, and we need to change that. We are the colonial carnage of the colonial structure, which is anti-Black racism.
Yes, and Sarah, I'm going to bring you back. And but as we begin to round up, just go. Okay, hold on. Does somebody have something else to say?
Mm, I think we pretty much we're waiting. We have a whole month. Again, we just want to make sure to let everybody know to join
Yes.
us to Monday, this Monday, February 1st. Please join us. Contact Chitty, contact WMTV for a registration link. You can find us on Instagram, Idpad Canada. You can find us on Twitter. All of those, please make sure you register so you can get the webinar link. It is free. You're going to meet the team in more detail. It's going to be very authentic. It's going to be raw. It's going to talk about the truth. We are the action team, and we invite other ITPAD member around the world. We just want to give a shout out to the Germany crew representing. I see that there's a lot of people watching us from all the way Johannesburg, from Africa continent, from Europe, from the States, our brother in South, south of the border. Like, we welcome you guys all. And please, and also just to let you know, we got invited to, I think, Eastern Nigeria for land. So that's for Jackie and Emma.
Yes!
There's people that have been saying, come down, guys. We're definitely in ITPAD Canada. Eventually, if we, finish this COVID-19 lift of that we're locked down, we're definitely gonna go on tour and gonna create that for ITPAD Canada to visit our brothers and sisters all around. So please, again, to keep it short, thank you again. Thank you for Dr. Chitty, WM, and also the member of Black Community Consultative Committee for putting this together as a kind of commercial to let you know that Black History Month we are dedicating to the decade. That's what we're dedicating for our Black History Month. So see you guys on Monday, February 1st for our first virtually for the recognition. Thank you. Go ahead, Chidi.
Yes, thank you so much. Just to once again thank everybody who is on the meet. Yes, 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 it's good. We're all back on our cameras so people can see us. I want to personally really thank you guys for what you're doing. People may not understand what we're doing because they are thinking, hey, you guys are in Canada, you don't have any problems, you know, but they don't know
Yeah.
that excuse me, that in itself is a problem. That in itself is a problem because this is the impression that's been created out there. And that is why when we speak about certain issues that people from African descent are going are having to face here, when we speak about it, people don't take us seriously because they think, hey, what do you guys know? Everything is cool here. You see, but it is the system that has created that impression. The system has made people believe that, hey, whatever they are saying is not serious. And like as Jackie said, the reason why they do this, I'll tell you one experience I had when I came newly to Canada. I noticed that whenever I was riding the bus or the train or any public transport, when people step on me, coming from Africa, when you step on people, you tell them, "Oh," you always say sorry, like like it's your fault. But I realize that when people step on me, when people do something to me, they just keep quiet and they ignore me. They pretend they didn't do it. And I came to realize that the reason is because they are running away from responsibility. If they said, "Oh, I'm sorry," that means they are owning up to the fact that they did something and you could press charges. So they pretend that it didn't happen and they ignore it. That's what is happening to us here. Like Jackie said, as soon as they recognize that what we're saying is the truth, as soon as they recognize that there's institutional racism and so many of the issues we are talking about, then they have to address it. Then they have to face the issue of repatriation, and they're gonna have to spend a lot of money. So they're just looking the other way and pretending that what we're saying is not happening. Oh, they didn't step on our toes. Oh, it's not me. I didn't see you. So that's what's happening. But thank you guys for coming to talk about this, and I can't wait for Monday. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let you guys know. Sorry, I'm gonna let you guys go now, and then I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks so much, everyone.
Salute you, my brother.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
Chidi.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you
Chidi.
guys.
Thanks very much, Dr. Chetty.
Okay. Okay. All
Yes,
right,
nice to
guys.
see my
So
people.
okay, so that's been members of the International Decade for People of African Descent, the Canada team. Yes, you're wondering, what is this whole thing all about? You didn't know. The reason why you didn't know is because so many countries, even though they were mandated by the United Nations to go ahead and publicize this event, to celebrate people of African descent, to bring their issues to the front burner, a lot of these countries refuse to do this. They refuse to do this, and that's why since 2015 and now we only have 2 more years. 2 more years. And can you imagine, within these 10 years, countries did not even focus on this and do what United Nations has instructed them to do. But thank God for this group of people from Canada who are insisting that the government of Canada do what they are supposed to do, who are insisting that the whole world should pause and listen to people of African descent, both in the country of Africa and in the diaspora. And some people are saying, "Oh, why are you guys talking about it over there?" It is because, and this is something a lot of people don't understand. Every other person, most people, most tribes, most cultures came to the diaspora. They came to this foreign land on their own accord. But people of Africa were dragged to this place. Yes, a lot of people came here because they were running from war and all. Africans were forced into Europe. Africans were forced into North America. That is why we keep demanding for restitution. That is why we keep demanding that you must stop and listen to us, because most of the issues we have right now is um, a direct result of the atrocities that was brought upon our race by slavery. That's all for you guys today. Like I said, check on the chat and you will see the link to join this celebration of people of African descent on Monday, the 1st of February. And don't forget, we will be later today we are going to be featuring a panel of discussants who will be dealing on issues that are going on in Africa. As you guys know, recently there was an election, a selection again, not an election, in Uganda, and people are upset. Bobby Wine is a young progressive African who actually won that election, but the results were hijacked by the um, the president there. So we're going to be talking about this later tomorrow. Sorry, tomorrow, not today. Later tomorrow. So Sunday, come back here and you will see Omoyele Shore, Bobby Wine, and other very very active descendants of Africa discussing what is going on in Africa. And of course, on Monday and throughout the week, we shall be focusing on the Black History Month and bringing you guys a lot of things that has to celebrate Black celebrate Black history and African history. And so, on that note, we're going to end the program today. On behalf of Dr. Erica and every member of our crew all over the place, I can't thank you guys enough. But I want to thank you, our viewer, our listener, our supporter. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye bye.